Okay, so we are continuing to show some games about the isolated pawn with plan C, and I would like to show game 12, that is Tarrasch defense again between Nikolai Novotelnov and Igor Bondarevsky in Moscow Championship URSS 1951. Now, keep in mind, I received the feedback that I should show you the game from the winning side, and I totally agree. The problem is that sometimes when I try to show you a variation, the diagram it's always from the white side, and so it becomes difficult to put the pieces back in the right place. I don't want to make mistakes, I don't want to show you something that is not there. In any case, this is plan C, about the isolated queen pawn, advancing the isolated pawn in order to fix an enemy pawn on an adjacent file. This plan occurs most frequently in structures with black IQP erasing from the Tarrasch defense to the queen's gambit. However, there are also cases with a white IQP. Let's start. So, c4, e6, knight c3, d5, d4, c5, and okay, now we have the Tarrasch defense. C takes d5, e takes d5. Notice that I'm using this nice light, nice evening light, because I think it's really beautiful on these pieces. Knight f3, knight c6, g3, knight f6, bishop g2, bishop e7, castle, castle. And now there is bishop g5. So let's see. Here there is a diagram, so maybe you should think a little and see what you would like to do if you were playing black. In the game, Bondarevsky, that was famous, a famous grandmaster, a coach, I don't know for which one, which of the players of the time, maybe also Spassky. It's possible. He played bishop e6, okay? In the past, the text move was a favorite of several classical players, including the fourth world champion Capablanca. However, as indicated in the commentary below, white can bring about a somewhat advantageous endgame by force. For this reason, the players of today usually prefer c takes d4, okay? Knight takes d4 and h6. So you see, this is the importance of having a book like this, because the guy who wrote it was a professional chess player and a professional coach, and it tells you if you are on that road to become a professional, you need to know why now you play this and you don't play bishop e6, because if you play bishop e6, you are going to pay in points and you're not going to make titles, right? So that's the real problem of the situation here. So bishop e6, d takes c5, bishop takes c5, and now we have isolated the queen pawn, and rook c1. He says this is still the main line, and it shows a line with bishop takes f6 instead, but it seems it leads to an inferior position. However, it's really a question of engine at this point, because the game he shows is from 2016, so who knows. Okay, so after rook c1, he plays bishop e6. Obviously, he takes away a possible target from the c file. Knight e4, and now there is the reason for which the author show you this game. this example game that you must remember, because it will happen in your own games if you have an isolated queen pawn. The move is d4. Wow, who would think to play that kind of move, right? Bondareschi's idea is not very obvious and thus will surely remain in the reader's memory. It is curious that 15 years later his favorite pupil played in a similar manner. Ah, so I was right. The game he speaks about is Chernikov-Spassky, Moscow 1966. And in this case, instead of d4, Spassky plays h6, bishop takes f6, queen takes f6, knight takes b6, a takes b6, queen b3, and queen d8, a3, and d4. So as you can see, Spassky played a very similar move in this kind of position, which means that Bondareschi, that was his trainer, his coach, taught him about this plan with the isolated queen pawn. And you see, this is the thing. Here you know what to do because you know the plan. If you didn't know what to do, it starts to become a problem, because you can also choose the wrong line of thought or the wrong plan, and you're going to lose. So to know the right plan in certain middle game positions is essential if you want to reach master level. Okay, I return back to the position of the game where white played knight a4 and Bondareschi played this thematic move that is the plan, okay, to fix the pawn on adjacent file by pushing the isolated queen pawn. Knight takes b6. And here, throughout all the game, I've noticed the author continue to show the opinion of the engine, in this case the Stockfish, which means that today is unthinkable that a master level player wouldn't analyze with an engine, because otherwise you are going to have some bad surprises. A takes b6, a3, h6, as we can see, similar to the Spassky game that I just showed you, and instead of taking, he goes here, bishop f4. This move does not create any problems for black. However, white's other responses also fail to disturb the balance, and this shows what happens if he plays bishop takes f6. By the book you will see it, because it's about 5 moves long, so it's a little too much for me. Bishop d5, another exclamation point, and knight e1, a mistake. Although Stockfish awards the same valuation of 000 to other moves, such as bishop e5, so bishop e5, or h4, retreating the bishop to d2 is the most human move. It takes a wise man to recognize that he was wrong. In any case, he didn't play that, he played knight e1. So, instead of telling us what Stockfish think, that maybe we don't care so much, he should have told us why this move was wrong. And again, I think some people just tell you about the Stockfish evaluation, but the Stockfish evaluation doesn't tell me why, why it's wrong. Because you exchange the light square bishop and so you have weak squares? Maybe. King g2. This is an interesting move, right? Because you could have thought maybe he plays this. No, he played this. When he plays this, there is a reason. Sometimes it's because he wants to create an attack of some kind. Rook e8. rook c2, queen d5, f3, rook e7, knight d3, and rook e8. So we see that, like he said, he used this to block this pawn, and now is ganging up on the e file to attack e2. That's kind of very, very interesting. So we can see it was really a plan. And this shows you also another reason. This is why it's important to play long time control games, because that kind of plan you could devise it maybe if you have enough time, right? Okay, let's see what the author says. Following the exchange on the bishop g2, white position has deteriorated with every move, and now black's pressure along the e file is the decisive factor. Bishop c1, queen b3, rook e1, knight d5 is trying really to enter. Yeah, clearly black is attacking. Knight f2 and knight e3, which is a dubious move, bad practically. Exchanging his powerful knight for the passive bishop, not a good idea obviously. But can you find what was the right move here for black? It seems the right move was rook e6, and if white played queen d3, you still don't exchange the queen because you go to e4. Okay, so it was probably creating another maneuver, because again this thing doesn't tell you all the story. It doesn't tell you all the story. So why this, and this? Because that's what it should tell us, why that is so good, that move, and why the evaluation is different. As you can see, you still have to do your homework also when you buy a book, okay? So I also wouldn't have played this one, 93, because why? Why would I want to exchange? I want to keep the pressure. But how do I actually achieve something? But that's the part I don't know. Okay, so knight e3, bishop takes e3, rook takes e3, rook d2, queen b5, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, okay. Knight d3, knight e5, oh my god, that's the problem, and king f2. Optically the white position seems unattractive, but after knight f4 instead of king f2, there is no clear way for black to increase his advantage. Oh, that's what I thought. And here it gives a kind of long line, like 5 moves with some subline. So obviously it's something you should watch if you buy the book. And let's see what happens. Knight c4, rook c2, obviously it was attacking the rook, rook 3 e7, queen c1, knight e3 again, rook c8, and queen h5, that is still a dubious move. It seems that it was better to play g5. Okay, so queen h5. King g1 because I attack this. Obviously it's trying to give checkmate here. Rook takes e8, rook takes e8, and knight f4 to prevent the checkmate on g2. Okay, and now it's attacking also the queen, so the queen must go, unfortunately. Queen d7 e queen d2. Here it says that maybe instead of queen d2 it was better to play knight g2 and to exchange this knight. I don't know. And it gives a line, okay? So now the game is nearly to the end. g5, knight g2, knight c4, queen c2, queen e6, king f2, b5, so you can protect this and move the queen somewhere else, and rook d1, a mistake. And it says it is not easy to endure an inferior position for long. It was more tenacious to play b3. Well, yeah, but b3 maybe for both, who knows. So rook d1, let's see what happens. Queen h3, king g1, and now I think, guys, you can see how it ended. So the next videos will be from the chapter 6, the d5 square in the Sicilian. Obviously there are also other interesting chapters, but I'm not going to replay all the books because obviously the author will be hope to make some money out of it. Now what's going on here, it's simple, right? It's a simple thing. Obviously black takes on g2, king takes g2, knight e3, and the game is over, okay? I hope you enjoyed it, and I will love to show you more games from this middle game manual that I really like. I really like it. It's a beautiful manual, in fact.